Ajax Chess Club welcomes you all to this special chess event. We are immensely grateful to Harry Raghavan, who is the VP of our Ajax Chess Club, for generously sponsoring this event. Your support has made it possible for us to come together today and celebrate the spirit of chess and sportsmanship. Harry, I'm honored to be your good friend, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. We would also like to extend a heartfelt thanks to the Ajax Public Library for graciously hosting this event. Your commitment to fostering a community of learning and engagement is truly commendable. This event will be recorded for various social media platforms. If you do not want to be recorded, then please don't participate in any of the chess demonstrations to follow. Ladies and gentlemen, today just so happens to be the International Women's Day. And what can be more fitting than to have a woman grandmaster as the keynote speaker of today's event? Anna is a chess journalist, editor, educator, and promoter. She received her master's degree in law in 2004 and a WGM title in chess in 2009. As of October 2023, there are only 326 women grandmasters worldwide. So Anna is in a very elite group. As a chess player, Anna has won numerous medals at the Youth Championship, including gold at the Russian Championship among girls under 16, an adult tournament. And in 2009, she earned her women's grandmaster title, I believe roughly at age 20, 21.
Yeah, 21.
Around there. In 2010, 2011, Anna worked as an editor and reporter for the Russian Chess Federation website. She also has held jobs with FIDE and has articles published in 64 Chess Review, New in Chess, Schach, and ChessBase. In 2013, Anna joined the team at Chess TV, which was later ChessCast, as an editor and producer of chess programs and live broadcasts, including several World Championship matches, candidates tournaments, and other high-end chess events. In 2018, upon moving to Canada, Anna joined the PR department of the International Chess Federation, the job she proudly held for 5 years. During this time, she has been the FIDE social media manager, website editor, and head of PR. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor and pleasure to present to you the women grandmaster, Anna Burtasova.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so for the next hour or so, we're gonna do an open Q&A session. So I thought that I would go through my list of questions, and if there are any questions that you have that didn't duplicate mine, then you're free to ask them as well. So I'll start off. So Anna, what inspired you to start playing chess?
Well, there was no real inspiration. There was not like a sparkle or anything. I'm from the family where nobody played really chess, and when I was about 4 or 5, my mother, she decided that it's nice to teach me playing chess because it is good for kids, to develop some brain activity, whatever, maybe patience and so on. And she didn't know how to play chess herself, so she bought a book which explained the rules. And but she liked to read books to me very much, and so she was reading this book to me, and we both learned how to play and started playing against each other. And later on, when I was about 5, 6, my grandfather, so the only one from the family who actually played chess, was my engineer grandfather, who lived in Kiev in Ukraine, who lived in Russia, and we played correspondence chess with him. I think these days kids have no idea what is correspondence chess. So what is correspondence chess? Now you know everything. Okay, come on. What is correspondence chess? Exactly, snail mail. Yes, not email even, just snail mail. You send. So he was sending mails to me with his moves, like he's writing a mail with his move. I'm executing at my board. Then I'm thinking for a couple of days what is my move, and I'm sending back to him, and this is how we played. And actually it was a great way to bond with my grandfather, because I didn't see him so often. Okay, we were going to visit them maybe once a year, or they were coming to visit us with my grandmother, but yeah, it was a great way to bond. And then I went to school, and in school we had a chess club, and this is where I picked it up, and I liked it a lot. I realized I was good at it, and I liked winning a lot as a kid. Yes, and that's how I just got hooked. So it was not really some moment of inspiration. It was more like kudos to my mother, just for teaching me to play, and then again kudos to my parents, because they were both working. They were still young people. They had me when they were 23 only, which was totally normal for Soviet Union, to have kids quite early. And then I was 6 7, so I was going to school, and after school, what to do with me? I was just hanging around. I could get to some bad company, on the street, just walking around. There were some stories, that are not for the young ears, so they don't pick it up. Don't get to the bad company. Better play chess. And then when they realized there is this chess club that 3 times a week after school, I could spend a few hours at the chess club instead of roaming the streets and do it who knows what. My parents were like, this is it, brilliant, and I loved it too. So this is how from like 7 years old I started training quite a lot, like every week, maybe it was Monday, Wednesday, and Friday after school, 3 hours. 3 hours. So it's quite. I came back home, I had my lunch, and then I was going back to school again. And from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. I was training chess there with my coach, my only coach, and other kids. So it was great. And also another thing, why this was possible actually, which could be very interesting for those who don't know. And okay, how would you know? Of course, the system of sport development in Soviet Union, how it was, and then Russia inherited it. I am not sure how it works these days, but in the 90s and before that in Soviet Union, there were actually in every city, like even the small towns, there were usually so-called sport schools, which is a separate building, let's say a building like this library, which is a sports school where kids come after their normal school, the after hours. Uh, you enroll in some classes. You can usually they specialize in something. So in Vladimir, where I'm from, it's not called after Vladimir Putin. I'm making fun like this sometimes. People believe me. No, it is a very old city. It's older than Moscow. It was called after some duke named Vladimir, and he founded the city. And so this is a very, very old city. And so in Vladimir, we had gymnastics school, chess school, and I think athletics and something else. So you enroll in these classes. They cost nothing for the parents. It was all paid for by the government. And the coaches there are like a bunch of coaches there that are working with these kids. So for parents, it doesn't cost anything. And they're paid as teachers, as other governmental, employees by the government. So this is how it was. It was a great system. It was helping. It was a great social lift, for many. So that is how the sports system in Soviet Union was creating a lot of good sportsmen, because you could just absolutely for free, you can get a lot of training from great coaches who were paid, by the government. So this is how it was. And the same system was for arts. So there were also art schools, like let's say for music or drawing. Or my sister, for example, I have a younger sister. She was going to such an art school for drawing, and she went on to become an architect after that. So this is what good it was. There were many bad things, obviously, but this system was really nice. And this is how, like let's say our club in our school, it was a branch of this sports school. So my coach, he was getting paid He was not starving, or anything. And all of us kids, we could just receive the lessons for free. Of course, in Canada, it's not like this. You have to pay for everything, and that's much more difficult on parents. So that was a good system. I don't know how it works these days, to be honest. I'm not sure it exists like a completely same system. Probably now, I think now parents have to pay something. But the schools, they still exist. Like there are so many buildings. Like what do you do with them? I mean, of course they go on. Yeah. So
Second question: what GM inspired you the most, and why?
uh, it was Garry Kasparov. When I was a teenager, I was such a fan of Garry Kasparov. I still consider him the greatest chess player of all time. Of course, Magnus Carlsen is very close, and you may say that he is the greatest, but I still think that Garry Kasparov, for me, he was. I loved that he had this very aggressive, active style of playing, but not just recklessly aggressive. It was always based on some very sane uh, principles of chess. Like everything was like he was very active, but it was always justified by the chess principles. And the second player is Judith Polgar, of course, the strongest female player of all time, who went on to become the number 8 in the world among everyone. She was the contender for the World Championships, and she is an absolutely amazing person too. So I had an honor to meet her many times in my life now through my journalistic work and my broadcasting work. And I was absolutely amazed by her personality. She's down to earth. She's very hardworking. I will give you one example. Garry Kasparov, unfortunately, I haven't met him in real life. I never talked to him or anything, so I cannot speak for him. But Judith Polgar, we were making a broadcast of the candidates tournament, and she was one of the commentators. Not this one, like a couple of years ago. She was one of the commentators, and okay, candidates tournaments, the games go on for like 7 hours easily. Yeah? It's a long time control. They play 6-7 hours. So Judith Polgar for 6-7 hours, and the commentators, they also come earlier because they need to sit down. Then we need to check the mics, everything, some makeup, stuff like that. So they come at least 1 hour before the broadcast starts and the games start. And the broadcast also starts a bit earlier, so maybe 1.5 hours before. So she was coming 1.5 hours before. She had her coffee. She was sitting there, and until the games were finished, she was never standing up. And I was telling her, but Judith, I mean, you can just tell us if you need to go to the washroom, if you need whatever you want to freshen up, you want to drink, eat. She says, no, I don't need anything of that. I'm just focused, I'm doing my job. But that's crazy, like 7 hours at least. She was just sitting, she was not standing up. And just completely focused. That really impressed me because I've worked with many commentators, most of them who are grandmasters or generally, famous chess presenters, and none of them was ever like that. She was the only one who was so hardworking. I mean, unbelievable. And she's also an organizer now. She's organizing her global chess festival every year in Hungary, in Budapest. So Judith, I was absolutely amazed by her personality.
Any interesting stories from the candidates match in Toronto last year?
Well, it's the candidates, it's such a serious tournament. Everybody is so serious that nothing much funny is going on usually. Everybody is just too focused, too serious, and I couldn't say there were any like really funny moments or anything. Well, once there was like the washrooms of the players. They were close to the press center, and I was the head of the press center, so I was always there. And when the players finished their games, So they were going out and they were supposed to go to the press center to give interviews, to talk to the journalists, and I was usually waiting for them to go out and to bring them to the press center. There was a route there, but some players, and one of them was Yan Nepomniachtchi, who is the top Russian grandmaster, and he played 2 world championship matches, lost both, but well, he was close, against Dean Liren. And well, one of the top players in the world. So he was playing in the candidates, and whenever he was finishing his game, he knew he was supposed to go to the press center. He was never going the right route, like which they were supposed to take. And for a long time we were puzzled, like how he appears in the press center, but how he gets there. And then we realized that he goes first to this washroom, which was close, as I said, to the press center. And then he emerges from the washroom and he just kind of passes some banner, which he was not supposed to, but he's just, squeezing behind the banner and he's in the press center. So one day he was playing this absolutely crazy game against Alireza Firouzja. It was crazy game. There was like mistakes from both sides. It was such a chaos. Finally, he won, but it was a very important game for him because then he got some chances on winning the tournament. He didn't, but he got some chances at that time. And so, knowing that he's taking this other washroom route, let's call it this way, I was clever. Now I was now waiting behind this banner where he usually squeezes, And what happens is that he goes out of the playing hall. I can hear him moving there. And he goes straight to the washroom as usual. And on his way to the washroom, he starts cursing in Russian, like crazy, saying everything he thinks about this game, because the game was it was just insane game. Everything was just, the evaluation was jumping left and right. He was losing, he was winning, he was losing. And like that, and of course he felt it, like he probably didn't know the details, but he felt that something was, and and so he was cursing. And of course I understand what he's saying because I can speak Russian. So I loudly said, and he knows me, he knows my voice, so I said, "Oh, Jan, I agree with you so much." And he started laughing, he burst out laughing. And it was a nice moment, which kind of, when he went to the press room afterwards, he was already, his pressure was already gone. It was a nice moment to melt this pressure after the game. But it was kind of funny. But generally, such tournaments, they are too serious. Like everyone is too tense, to have really like interesting stories from them.
Why do they separate men and women in chess? And what level is open to both divisions?
Okay, this is a very interesting and very serious question. First of all, at any level, women and girls can play in men's tournaments. So there is no real separation. Like all the tournaments are usually open to women. So women can play in any tournament together with men. But the RA indeed separate women-only tournaments. Like I can come to any open tournament, play with, like if a man can play in tournament, means a woman can also play in this tournament. But there are women-only tournaments, right? And there are women-only titles. Like I am woman grandmaster, for example. At the same time, there is a title of overall grandmaster, which is more difficult to achieve. And in the whole world, there are only 42 women at the moment who hold the overall grandmaster title. It's a little bit confusing, but I'll explain to you why this happens. So 42 women in the world hold overall grandmaster title. And this is, again, the all-time high. We spoke at the very beginning that 15% of all players are women, and this is the all-time high. This is also the all-time high. And let's say in the 70s, in the 70s, in the 80s, I think there were only one woman who held the title of overall grandmaster. It was Nona Gaprindashvili. Some 10 years later, it was Nona Gaprindashvili, Susan Polgar, and Maya Chiburdanidze. So 3. Later on, it was also Judith Polgar and more, and finally now we have 42, which is great, which is a lot, and this is the all-time high. But it is still not too many. We want more, right? But when you have 15% of women only, then of course you will also have less women at the top. So why separate women's tournaments? Why separate women's titles? So the reason is, to me, it makes a lot of sense. And the International Chess Federation started doing this, like, I think, in the 70s, if I'm not mistaken. The women's titles started to, they introduced women's titles. And the reason was exactly this. They wanted to boost participation of women, and they wanted to have more representation. So when girls come to play chess, many of them, they are discouraged by the fact that there are no other girls playing. But when they enter a women-only tournament, then they see that everybody around them are just like them, also playing chess, also women, also girls, and this actually encourages a lot of girls. And I know it for a fact because I have my women's chess club, in Toronto, that I hold every month, and I speak to women, and I see that for them it's really discouraging to see that they are the only, let's say, the only girl, and there is no other girls. And when they see there is a women-only tournament, and suddenly they see so many girls, women playing chess, and they see the role models in them. So this encourages, and this is how the International Chess Federation decided to boost this participation of girls and women. And I think it works, actually. It works pretty well because we see that it grows and grows and grows. And of course, there are not a lot, but there are people who advocate to erase women's titles, like to only have titles for everyone, grandmaster, not to have women grandmaster, not to have women international master titles, not to have separate women's tournaments. Judith Polgar herself, she is one of the people advocating for that, because she thinks that this way girls will aim higher. They will not stop at the women's title. They will aim higher and they will achieve more, which is kind of true. I mean, I agree with her in this regard. And she is such an exceptional player herself that, well, at least we need to listen to her. I mean, she knows what she's saying. She was always aiming high. She got really, really high. And I think all girls should aim higher, yeah? But I think that we're not there yet. I think we're not there yet in terms of participation. When we will have 40% women, by all means, let's abandon the women's titles, because then we will be on the same level of participation, almost on the same level. Now, I think we are not yet there, and only 15%. So if we abandon this titles and tournaments that actually encourage girls and women to play chess, then we might just face, the like it can backfire. So the participation rates would drop even lower. That's my strong opinion, So I think we can, let's abandon women's titles once we have 45% women playing chess, among all the players. Then I'm just all for it, But right now, that's how it is. And I can say that I'm really happy that I've had this women's tournaments in my life, the women's championships, girls championships, because they kept me going. They showed me that I can be among among my friends. I found a lot of friends there, and of course, girls, they want to have girlfriends. That's normal, It's like we are trying to find our own everywhere, So yeah, so I think that this really kept me going, and I think it will. There is no time to abandon it yet. But it's usually, I mean, this question, it is very correlated. People always ask me why women play chess worse than men. Sounds insulting. Women don't play chess worse than men. This is, it is like the same. You can ask why some uh, countries they don't have grandmasters. Are people from this country playing chess worse than people from the other country? No, not really. You know, it's insulting. The right question should be why there are less women among the top players than men. This would be the right question, because that is a fact. Indeed, among the top 100, we had Judith Polgar when she was number 8. She's not playing anymore. We had Hou Yifan, who was in top 100 of all the players. She's not really, she's still playing a little bit, but she's mostly retired. She's the youngest ever professor in the Chinese university, in one of them, in Beijing, I believe. I might be mistaken. So she found some other things to do, but no, yeah, but we don't have in the top 100 players, we don't have women. Why? Now this is the real question, and the answer is very, again, it's not easy to answer this. So does, let's say, testosterone help chess performance? A man on average is, let's say, has longer endurance and stronger than women. Does this help chess performance? We don't know. We don't know, because there are no real research papers or researches on that subject. We don't know. We simply don't know. My opinion is that even if it does, it is neglectable. I think it is not much. But what really influences is a pure statistical numbers. So when you have 100 boys playing chess, let's say this is the base of the pyramid. This is 100 boys playing chess. Then there is the pyramid, and this is the top of the pyramid. This is the top of the pyramid is somewhere here. Now we have 15% of girls. Only these are girls playing chess. And now let's see this pyramid. You see how small it becomes, and the top of the pyramid is much lower than this pyramid. So when you have a big base of people to draw from, then of course the peak performance is higher. This is a simple statistical explanation that works here too. This is why I say, so this is why we now get more women in chess, and we get more women who are grandmasters, 42. And we get more women now than ever who are 2,500 rated, 2,600 rated, which never happened like in the 60s or in the 70s. It was just two, you know, Gaprindashvili, Chibordanidze. Now we have so many of them. So it is growing, but to get to the top, we need a much wider base, simply. And this is why, again, I say, let's keep the women's titles, let's keep the women's tournaments until we get this participation higher, big numbers. Then we can talk. When we have 50-50, let's by all means then explore the other things, testosterone and other, if this influences or not, how much, we don't know.
That argument is very valid, and you can see it applies to races. Chess was never played in China. Now it's played a lot. Now you've got a lot of great Chinese players. Same with India. There was like, when I was growing
Exactly.
up, one Indian
Yes.
grandmaster. Now everybody in India is playing chess.
Exactly. Yes. It's, as I say, it's a similar argument. Like in one country, people are playing like there are no grandmasters, and then it doesn't mean that the people in this country are stupider. What nonsense, you know? Yeah. So the same thing, kind of. Yeah. Okay. I think I answered even much more than you expected. Yeah.
Magnus Carlsen is 34 years old. He recently admitted that he is not as quick thinking as he was in his younger days. What age do you think a player is at his top form?
Yeah, I think already after 30, your performance really starts to decline. I was fortunate
Did you
enough.
say 30?
After 30, I think it starts to decline the performance.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's half this
yeah.
room, so.
It's just the brain probably is not working that quick anymore, but you compensate with other things, experience, you're calmer, you know yourself better, and other things. But just a pure performance of the brain somehow starts to decline. I'm not a I'm not a brain scientist or anything like that, so I cannot tell you the reasons or how it works. But just from experience, that's unfortunately what it is. And for the chess players, I would say the top performance is something like mid 20s to late 20s.
Is that your top form?
Not mine. Mine, I think, was at 12 years old. Joking, but but 20 something was my top. But for in general, I would say yeah, 20 mid 20s to late 20s. There are some players who are the exceptions and who played really really strong into their very late years. Like for example, Viktor Korchnoi.
Mm.
Viktor Korchnoi was twice candidate for the World Championship. He played two World Championship matches against Anatoly Karpov, in the first of which he was very close to win. He didn't. He lost, but he was very close. It was a very tough match. And he played competitive chess. He was 80, and he was still beating, all the younger players and trash talking them afterwards. Yeah, I bet this felt horrible. All the young players usually try to beat, the elder people, but he was just crushing everybody and then trash talking them. Yeah. But mostly, yes, it's 25, 27. And actually, if you take all the world champions, but of course, world champions, okay, that's a long history, 100 years history. So the world champions of the past, they were not so young, like today. But if you take the average, then the average age when a player would become a world champion for the first time would be 27. So it kind of correlates with peak performance, in my opinion. But of course, now Gukesh is 18, but I think Gukesh is not at his peak performance.
Wow.
I don't think he's at peak performance at all. He has a potential to be much stronger. Yeah.
And what was your peak ELO rating?
I think it was some 2340 something, 47 maybe. And I was something like 23, 24, around this. And then so I got to my peak rating. And then I realized that even at that moment, with my peak rating, okay, I was in Russia. In Russia, everybody is so strong in chess, and the Russian national team was out of reach for me, even with this rating. And I realized, okay, I was aiming for more. I wanted to be in the national team, and I realized, okay, I cannot be in the national team at 23, 24. I already felt like I'm too old because, again, Russian standards. That's not normal. It was just, for Russian standards, it was if you're not in the national team by 24, then probably you're do something else. So that's how I moved. I kind of retired from active chess and started to do everything connected with chess, but not really playing as a professional player anymore. So I started my journalistic work and broadcasts and everything else, and teaching and writing and stuff like that, but not playing professionally anymore. Yeah. Now I think that I could still go on. Now looking back, I think I could still go on for a few years, and try harder. Maybe I made this decision a little bit too early. But at that time, it felt like, yeah, I'm too old now and too weak. Which I think now is not true, yeah, when I look back.
I have a question for you. What would you say is the best way to try to improve your rating? Is it studying? Is it playing? Is it what would be?
Yeah, so it depends on the level of the player. But we were all talking about club players, right? So maybe 1,000 rating, 1,400 rating, you know, already quite a strong club player, right? So for these players, I have bad news for you and good news for you. So bad news is that we all love to play, and we want to play all the time. So by simply playing, you will not improve. To really improve, like really improve, drastically improve, you can have fun playing. That's all right. I mean, that's why we are all in chess. We have fun playing. But if you really want to improve, you need to study chess. You need to study chess. You need to get some books. You need to study openings. You need to study end games. Oh my God, everybody's playing endgames so badly these days. It's incredible. I mean, if you study endgames, you will get so many points out of nothing. Endgames and middle game strategies, you know, some pawn structures and stuff like that. Good news is that on this level, whatever you study, as long as you study chess, you will improve. You can study anything. There is just, you can study openings, you can study endgames, you can study middle game structures, pawn structures, you can study the games of the great champions. And by the way, I recommend very much to study the games of great champions with their own comments. Let's say, get Fischer's 60 memorable games. This is the greatest book of all time, you know, or stuff like that. Just really work through them seriously, you know, try to understand, try to think yourself, like, what would I play before playing out the move that is there in the book? Think, what would you play? And then see what move was really made and the explanation why. And then this will help you improve, you know. But the good news, whatever you do and on this level, on my level too, you know, I mean, everything will improve your chess. So it's not necessarily you have to only do this or that. You can do, but study, not just playing.
Yeah, I had a follow-up question on this. So by study, do you mean like study books through books, or you can watch videos?
Yeah, you can do both. But again, videos are there are so many different videos. Some videos are purely entertainment. Like, you just watch them for entertainment. They don't have any educational value. And there are some other videos where the grandmasters, they really try to explain from the educational standpoint, you know, some things. So I suggest better watch this. You can of course watch all the streams, but just for fun. You need to realize you are not getting the maximum out of this. You're just having fun as much as playing the same thing. So if you want to learn, try to get to watch educational videos, and there is such content out there. It's just people, they don't watch them so much because it's it's just more fun, you know, to just entertain yourself and not work hard, right? So that's why. But there is such content, and the books the same, yeah. So when you read chess books, then most of them are actually quite instructional. The only thing I would say, don't get over the board, like, don't get too much hooked on the openings, because some kids especially, actually these days, they're completely crazy about the openings. They only learn openings, and what I see is that after they played 10-15 moves by heart, that they remembered by heart, they don't know what to do afterwards, because they never studied middle game strategies, plans, structures. They don't know how to play endgame. And then in the end, yeah, you learn these 15 moves by heart, you blitz them out, and then you don't know what to do, you lose in 3 moves, you know, because you're just completely lost of what to do in that position. So don't go too hard on the openings. Better try to study general chess principles, plans, endgames. As Capablanca said, those who understand middle game, he said, those who know openings, those who know end games know chess. So that is something that really is really important.
Any particular YouTube channel or author that you
For example, well, I don't know if she's doing it. I'm not too big on the YouTube, to be honest, just because I don't have so much time, you know, to watch all the streams. But okay, Hikaru and Gotham, that's entertainment. Well, sometimes, yeah, no, sometimes they give some instructional stuff, but most of the time it's entertainment. So to get this instructional things out of them is like maybe 5 minutes in an hour will be something instructional. Most of the other stuff is just fun. Go, for example, to Irina Crush. I don't know if she's still doing it, but she was doing it before. She was doing instructional videos, like she's teaching you something, like she's your mentor or coach, you know. She's eight times American women's world champion, or world American champion, strong player, grandmaster, and try her, Irina Crush. Well, let's start from there. From the top of my head now, I cannot come up with something else. But yeah.
What about Nelson at Chess Live or elementary?
I don't know, unfortunately. Yeah, I haven't seen. How many moves to know? It is more important, you know, to not to memorize them by heart, but know why they were made, like where to put your pieces. Maybe you will put the piece on this square, not on this particular move, and 2 moves later or something.
Yeah, the sequence also matters. I mean, there are some opening pieces.
Often, yeah, often the sequence matters, of course. Like if you play something super sharp, especially. But as I see from the club player's perspective, it is more important to know what you're doing, like to know in this opening, because every opening has its own pawn structure, and this pawn structure dictates what is your plan and where do you put your pieces. So you better know this than concrete lines. In the long run, this will suit you better, because if your opponent makes some move that you don't know, that you didn't memorize, you still know what are your plans and where do you put your pieces. If you only memorize without understanding of why you are doing these moves, then any, you know, third, fourth line move from your opponent will just throw you off your saddle, you know. So so this is also important. Try to understand why this piece goes on this place. And to do this again, what you can do is, so you're learning some opening. You, let's say, you look at it, I don't know, 5-10 moves you already memorized, but you're not sure why, let's say, this knight goes here and not there. So what you need to do is like go into the base. You can use Chess for that. You can use chess.com for that. You can use chess base if you are like, if you have it or you have a base. But chess.com and Chess, they have an inbuilt base of grandmaster games. So play out the moves and see at least 20 grandmaster games and see where do they put their pieces way into the middle game. Not just these 5-10 moves, but way into the middle game, where this knight goes later on, like why it is there and not here. Like try to figure it out. And of course, the best would be to watch some videos or buy some books on the opening, because there they explain usually why here and not there. They don't just say the line; they explain why exactly. So it's not about the number of moves. It's much more important is to understand why.
And what I mean, one should consider while planning or strategizing a middle game. What is your suggestion? Middle game, like one, how one should plan or strategize?
Can you come again?
One, the opening principles are over.
Yes.
Then the middle game, right? So in the middle game, how to plan or strategize?
Yeah. So this is, yeah, it comes out of the opening. Let's say it's the logical continuation of your opening play. So and this is more difficult actually to get this, because there are not so many books that concentrate on this, but still you can get the books that concentrate on this. Like for example, Ivan Sokolov. It's a little bit like higher level books, because he's a very high profile coach. He was training Giri and people like this, Ivan Sokolov. But he has, let's say, a couple of books, middle game strategies for E4 players and middle game strategies for D4 players, where he explains exactly, this, what you're talking about. Like what are the strategies and plans that are coming out from specific openings. Yeah, and that's important to know. You can also learn this from basically just watching the Grandmaster games and see what they're doing. Like they get out of the opening and you watch like 15, 20 games of these Grandmasters and you see what are they doing. Are they attacking the king? Are they playing on the queen side? How they are playing on the queen side or attacking the king? Usually the plans are repeating, from game to game. And you can see the patterns then and learn from them.
Ask about Russian chess. When I grew up, all the
Players were Russian.
We're all champions for Russia.
Or Soviet Union rather, yeah?
Yeah, till Gary Kasparov retired. Then it's virtually been all non-Russian champions. That indicate a decline in strength of Russian chess, or
Yes, there is a decline, yeah, for sure. Because as I said, in Soviet Union it was a social lift, and you had the system of the sports schools that were free. People were going there, and I think in general there's not only decline of Russian chess but of Russian sport in general, and for this exact reason. So when Russia became Russia, not anymore. First of all, we had like a decade of total chaos in the country, where nobody thought about educating children or extracurricular activities. Everybody was just thinking about how to survive, and eat something more than potatoes, for dinner. And this is true. I mean, in many places that was, in smaller towns, that was really a struggle in the 90s. And then finally, when we lost this generation, kind of, and then there was the time of let's say when people got suddenly material, let's say they got welfare, and again chess was not a social lift anymore. Like why? Like for example, for me, I will give you my example. So when I was a kid in the 90s playing chess, one of my biggest motivations was that if I win a Russian championship, then I'm going to the European and the World Championship for free, paid by the government, because that was for the Russian champions, they would go for free. And I would see Spain. I would go to Spain. I would go to Greece. I would go to some other countries where they held these championships. I've never seen anything, so this was for me the biggest motivation. Once I got there, I was not concentrated on the tournament so much. I was just looking around like, oh my God, this is over sea, and it was very nice. So it was kind of, this motivation which was not existing anymore in notice, for example, because then people were just casually going to resorts, going abroad. So this becomes less of a motivation for kids. And then this system of national sports schools also was kind of, I don't know what's going on now. I think you still have to pay. You have to pay now. So it's also, the whole system collapsed a little bit, and so I think it's a combination of these factors that it's not such a big motivation anymore, and then it's not the sports schools are not that strong and they were before, not free anymore. So the combination of these things, that's what contributed. Like for example, in the Soviet Union, not only they had the sports schools, but they also had sport boarding schools. Like when kids, the most talented kids, like Evgeny Bareev, the top Canadian grandmaster these days, but he was born and raised in Soviet Union. So when he was a kid, he was actually in such a boarding school. He was from some small town, and then he went to Moscow, and he was 15, 16. Of course, he would maybe one day you will invite him. He will talk about it himself. But then he lived there, just training chess all the time, and going to to normal school at the same time without his parents next to him. It was like a boarding school. So I think something similar is happening in China, for example, because they take kids, they start to train them incredibly hard from the young age if they see the talent is there. And it's not what is happening in Russia anymore these days. So that's why naturally there is a decline. But of course, talent is everywhere. And as long as there is opportunity, the talent goes up. That's how we have Magnus Carlsen, for example. And the opportunities are still there. So we'll have some players from Russia, but not as overwhelmingly, a lot as before. Like Volodar Murzin, for example, a young guy. He's, I think, 17 or 18, and he's now the world rapid champion. Yeah. So there are still guys, but of course not like in India. In India now it's such a boom, and but even in India there will be a decline at some point. That's how it is. It's cycles of life,
Like you said, it's like a number of games. You get a lot of.
Also this, yeah, of course, yeah. In Soviet Union, like chess was religion, There was no religion anymore. Destroyed all the churches and stuff, but chess became a religion in a way. Like everybody knew how to play chess. Absolutely everybody. Yeah. Except for my mother, who had to teach me, and learn herself.
Sam, did you have a question?
Yeah, so this is where, when you're watching the YouTube video and paid advertisements come on? Well, this will be a small paid advertisement for the Ajax chess club. The question about what videos are best to learn on or who to watch, the answer really depends on what your level is and what you're looking for. Because something for a master level versus something for a beginner is totally different. So for those that come to the Ajax Chess Club, we do beginner lessons at the start of every single night. We focus on some opening principles, and we also do endgames. We've also done one-off instructional discussions from the advanced players that are like, I keep running up against this. How do I treat this scenario? So we'll also do lessons for intermediate or advanced if the demand is there. But if you're a beginner and you're looking for basic principles, come on out to the club and we will accommodate. You will learn. My goal is to get you at a beginner, but we will do more advanced lessons if the need is there. Anyway, we now return you to your regular discussion.
No, by all means, I totally agree. I think it's much easier to learn when you have some mentor and you have some instructor, rather than trying to break this wall yourself, and when you have a community. So chess clubs are perfect for that. Yeah. So yes, just join the beginner lessons, bring your kids and join yourself. That's the best way. Then you can also bond over chess.
So we're gonna take. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry.
Yep.
How do you deal with losing a game, and how has your approach to losing changed?
Very, very badly. I deal very badly. Yes, I was always very frustrated when I lost, which is normal, I guess. Like you feel that you're the stupidest, the most miserable person in the world. This is like when you win, well, it's normal. You're a genius, right? So that's how it should be. But if you lose, how can you be so stupid? I mean, even though it has nothing to do with stupidity.
Right.
Absolutely nothing, but this is how you feel. I think all of us felt this way. So of course, like throughout my career, I lost a lot of games, and some of them were very, very painful losses. I still remember one, just like if I played it yesterday. I played in a European Championship under 14. It was the last game, and if I win this game, I will be in the medals. I will be silver or bronze, depending on the other results. And I know this. And I'm playing against Sabrina Vega, who is also now a woman grandmaster. She's one of the famous chess teachers now in Spain. And so I'm playing against her, and I'm totally winning. Like my position was completely winning. I just have a passed pawn. I still remember, and just push the pawn. Push the pawn. Come on, just push it. And I was actually kind of feeling calm, but I had always this problem in my career that I was always a lone thinker, and I always was getting into time troubles. But I'm not Alexander Grishuk. I was not holding these time troubles as well as him. So and in this game, I was in time trouble. I was kind of calm, but I thought, okay, I need to push my pawn. But then I looked at the and then I see that my opponent is behaving a little bit strange. She's like, suddenly she becomes very agitated, and she's like very agitated, looking at my clock. And I look at my clock and I realize that in this moment I see how it was a digital clock, and zero, like there is no more, minutes anymore, only seconds. And I see how 004 is turning into 003. So I have like 3 seconds left. And I totally forgot about it. I was just concentrating on the move so much. And I completely panicked. And I just did whatever the first move, like whatever the piece was closest to my hand, whatever, just. And of course, I blundered heavily with this move. I didn't win the game. I think I even lost. And I still remember this. It was horrible. And also, it was the last game of the tournament. I don't have any more chance to win back next day. Now I have to go back home and think about it until the next tournament, when I might, win some games and somehow erase. To this day, I remember this. It's incredible. And I lost a medal. It was horrible. And of course, yes, you feel it under your skin, these losses, and to deal with them, you just need to remember that everybody in their careers have to lose a lot in order to actually become great. You cannot escape losses. All of us in chess and in life will make mistakes. You don't.
How many games have you lost?
I don't know, hundreds. I mean, I've never counted. I've played thousands of games. I've lost thousands of games, So it's just that, yes, you need to remember that this is inevitable. I mean, you will lose. It's like in life. You will make mistakes. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't try. Like you will do 5 mistakes and then you will do 10 great moves, But also what I really recommend from the physical standpoint. So whenever you lose, you're super frustrated and you have all this nervous energy in your brain, in your body, you're super tense. So what you need to do is you need to do some physical activities where it's like it helps so much. Like even if it is 9 p.m., I don't know, you're after the game, just jog for half an hour. Or if you have a swimming pool in your building or in the community and still open, go swim for half an hour. And you will really feel so much better, because this will take this adrenaline out of your system and this tension out of your system. And you will feel so much better. You would then be able to think rationally and just process this loss and remember not to make these mistakes again. And you will make these mistakes again and again, but at some point you will stop making them. And that's just part of life.
I have a quick follow-up question, just very small. A lot of times you know when you lost the game. Shouldn't we always resign, not confuse yourself why you lost that game? Because I keep trying. A lot of times I'm like, oh, I think this is the critical moment here, and I keep trying to solve it, and then I might forget about what was the issue that I had in the.
No, you have to keep trying, of course.
Okay.
I mean, you just write down your games, and after the game you look through the game, and then you will remember. But also you might think that this is the mistake that you made. Oh, I blundered the piece. But maybe when you look after, when you're calm, you swam for half an hour, you're calm, you're watching this game, and it's great if you can watch it together with your friends so that they can give a different perspective. And then you might realize that actually this blunder that you had, this was where you lost the game, but this was not the reason why you lost the game. Maybe before that you already made several mistakes that led to you to this position where this blunder was cooked, So you had to play better also before. And to the topic of resigning, you have to try always, to find chances to turn the tables around. But at the same time, it's difficult, balance there. But you also need to know the time when to really resign in respect of your opponent. Because if you are queen down, you know that your opponent is quite a strong player, then respect your opponent enough to resign because they will win, with an extra queen. But if you feel that there are still chances for somewhat reason, maybe very little time of your opponent, or you see that you still have some interesting ideas, maybe some attacking ideas or something, then still try, yes.
In terms of burning out your nervous energy before starting a game, it's been said that Gary Kasparov would do push-ups until he couldn't do any more push-ups and then enter into the game, and that was his way of burning off his
Yeah, also this, but
extra energy.
yeah, but after the game works perfectly too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, let's get one more. Yeah.
Two more questions.
Okay, well, this is like
Go ahead.
part A, part B. Are you going to teach your children to play chess? Probably the answer is yes. But
Yes.
how much would you teach them? Because I'm thinking of the Polgar sisters, whose father thought I could turn these kids into the grandmasters, and one became great, another one became a grandmaster, and the third became an IM. I mean, there's some limits to it, but how far would you go?
Well, I will be very honest with you. So yes, I want to teach my children to play chess. My younger one now is 3 years old, almost. So a bit early, maybe in a couple of years. But I don't want them to become professional chess players. And the reason for that is that to become really great in chess these days, you have to be completely focused, on chess. You have to be 100% in chess and nothing else. Like even school should be out of the question, which for me, I think is a bit too much. I want them to have a fulfilling life so that they would have different interests, and find the way what really interests them, and not being just like thrown into something from the early childhood so they don't see anything else. But at the same time, I absolutely want to teach them chess because I think that chess really, really helps not only brain development, which is actually confirmed by studies, but also a lot of social, which would maybe seem surprising because it's such a solitary game, but helps you to deal with losses. It helps you to be responsible for your own decisions because you make decisions with every move and you are bearing the consequences of these decisions. So this is, I think, very important. It helps you to look ahead and to delay the gratitude. Like for example, you are not getting something on this exact move. You may be getting the result in 3-4 moves, which also helps in life, I believe, to have more patience, especially for kids. It's very important. So that's why, I want them to play chess, but I don't want them to be like totally focused only on chess and become professional chess players. But again, it's up to them. If they decide they want to, what to do, I mean, that's their choice, yeah?
Fabiano Caruana actually did not go to high school. He devoted his life to chess.
Yes.
Was it worth it for him? Yes. For others, maybe not. Harry?
Observation, I heard that Nakamura wanted you to commentate on the candidates. So you told me. He said you are one of the best commentators.
Yeah, maybe we are in good relations with him. I know him for many years, and I think he's a great guy. And what he's doing for the popularization of chess is absolutely amazing. So yeah, I don't know personally that he said this, but yes, but I wouldn't be surprised because we are in great relations, and this makes me feel very nicely. Actually, this is what you say.
I think watching Queen's Gambit, you can get a sense of the Russian Soviet Union strength and the struggle of the American to enter like.
Yeah, actually, I enjoyed Queen's Gambit a lot. I think it was very nicely done in terms of chess content. because I was always constantly stopping the video, to to look at the position and to figure out. And there were some games that I watched the analytics later on from which games the positions were taken, because Garry Kasparov was helping them with choosing the positions, and he did a great job. So actually, really, I mean, for an average viewer, of course, they don't notice this. But for me, I was just stopping all the time, and looking, oh, interesting position, Yeah.
I want to make one announcement.
Sure.
See, the thing is, I want to know. See, in India, one of the ventures has been something called E4, the move,
Mm-hmm.
where Vishy and Ramesh,
Mm-hmm.
the coach. So I'm part of the group where we picked up 18 players. Gukesh was a member,
Mm-hmm.
and now, of course, they've all grown big now. So Arvind is now a member. So 18, we support that. It's about 1,000 people, it's crowdfunding, raised a lot of money. So similar to that, we've launched something called D4 for North America.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So one of the persons we picked was Harshit Rana,
Mm-hmm.
Grandmaster. And we probably pick Modit now. As he's speaking to his father.
Oh, nice.
So that will provide him training. So if you know some good players, upcoming players, so if you're working with Salim is a member, and David is always there. You form key groups to financially support them. To go to
Yeah, well, I will
tournaments.
definitely think
please
of it.
let us
Yes,
know.
and let you and Salim know.
So
Yeah.
and please spread the word for D4. So
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so we're going to take a 10-minute break or so, and we're going to rearrange the room for a chess simul, and then followed by a chess blitz, and we'll have a chance for Anna to flex her chess muscles and crush the group over here.